books that I got on Matthew, in addition to the Barclay series, is this by Max Lucado, who I didn't know anything about. And the beginning of the year, when we said we were going to do Matthew, Ida
Hanson or the other preacher, right?
Yeah,
Easily,
Ida,
easily.
right, mentioned this book by Max Lucado as a good reference book. Well, it turns out what it is, it's got a series of different parts to it in different sections about Matthew. It starts off with a topic, goes through a reflection, situation, observation, and then questions. So I just thought I'd read through the questions because it's reviewing what we did last week, and we ran out of time for me to do this. So this is talking about the section we just finished about the miracles, and also leading into the next section we're going to do. In rapid fire succession, Jesus performed a series of healing miracles. What are they? So do you remember the miracles from last week?
Yes.
He healed a woman who was bleeding.
A girl.
He brought back to life the wife, the woman, the young daughter of the Pharisee. We're going to cover it here in a minute, curing the blind men and curing a mute. So he did those all. And again, as Barclay reminds us that Matthew doesn't necessarily do everything in chronological order. He does it sort of by topic. So whether all these things really occurred, within rapid fire succession, or whether they just were things he accumulated over a period of time in Capernaum, we don't know. But just like the Sermon on the Mount, it wasn't one occasion. It was a collection of sayings and sermons and teachings of Jesus that Matthew put into that section, which you call Sermon on the Mount, but it wasn't necessarily all in one time.
Didn't happen chronologically.
Well, maybe the topics were chronological, but they weren't chronological all of the same occurrence. Other things occurred, and if you look at the other Gospels, and my little Bible has a comparison of the four Gospels and goes through different things and where they're showing in each one. You can see the others, particularly Mark and Luke, have those things occurring at different times, whereas Matthew's got them all bunched together. So it helps you to understand what the real time frame was. The second question was, what role did faith play in these people's experiences of Christ's power? We talked about that last week. That seemed to be the theme last week, wasn't it? Faith. So faith was what seemed to drive all the activities. It was a person needed the faith before he or she could come and ask for help. But they had the faith that Jesus could help them.
And then the help itself was the abolition of sin.
Right.
That was the second
first,
step.
yes. Having the faith first to ask for help and saying, I know you can help me.
Right.
And whether it was abolishing sin or whether it was the healing, which sometimes was needed that's partly after the abolition of the sins. So,
well, the sin was actually
that the Jews believed that the sin was the cause of the illnesses. Okay, so we're going to cover the next question. So think about these questions as we go forward. What unusual or surprising command did Jesus give the blind men after he healed them? How did the official response of Israel's religious leaders to Christ's healing ministry compare with the responses of the masses? And what specific factors does Matthew elicited Jesus Christ's compassion? What specific factors does Matthew say elicited Christ's compassion? So think about those as we go through. So the next section is Jesus heals the blind and the mute. As Jesus went on from there, two blind men followed him, calling out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he had gone indoors, the blind man came to him, and he asked him, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" "Yes," he replied. Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith, let it be done to you." And see that no one knows about this, but they went out and spread the news about him all over the region. Okay, well, that was 27 to 32 in chapter 9. So what's distinctive about this section in addition, I mean, obviously the healing, but what else stands out to you in this
Jesus didn't want it spread. He didn't want the miracles rumored.
and why do we think that is?
I think his time wasn't ready yet. He knew exactly how long he had before he went to the cross, and it wasn't time yet for him to do that, and he didn't want to speed that up with all kinds of rumors and innuendo and give the Pharisees more fodder for what they've already been chewing on.
Or he could have been more or less instructing them to go live your faith now and show by example
Right.
how you were healed.
Yeah,
And through your faith.
Barclay has a couple of things he pointed out, which I think is very interesting. First off, he didn't answer their shouts right away. He wanted to make sure that they really were not just jumping on the bandwagon, but they really did have that faith and would continue. Because I guess in a crowd situation, you have people would all participate in the crowd, and then the crowd would dissipate. He wanted to see whether they stayed with him.
Well, even as individuals, if we have faith, I mean, how many people pray and go to God and they're asking for something, and their internal reasoning for asking for it's for them. It's
Right.
it really doesn't bring in faith out so much as they want something fixed, instead of the heart coming out and saying, change me.
One of the other things that Barclay points out, and one of the things you got to remember about Barclay is it was written in the 1950s, dated, revised in 1975. So I wouldn't call it politically correct in current day thinking, although politically correct now is questionable. But in any case, what he says is there was an advantage to being a baker. You didn't have any responsibilities. You could live off the generosity of other people. You didn't have to do anything particularly. You didn't have to work. You just walked around and, had your cup, and I'm blind, I need help. Please take care of me. So he wanted to make sure that they weren't just in that kind of situation and continue that. They really did have faith. They really did want to be healed. They really did want to come out of their current situation. So.
And he could have been testing him too, rather than have a sincere faith. He said, "Let me just see if you can do this."
Yeah.
It's interesting, during the kind of a quick review here, their sin, whatever it would have been, is never mentioned. Why was the blind woman, the woman bleeding being punished? Why were these men blind? Why, and if the crux of the whole thing is that they had sinned, and it was the general belief at the time, then you would have thought that there would have been some mention of what heinous thing these people had done to be punished in such a way.
You don't see that. I don't see that in any of the Jesus' teachings. He doesn't care what the reason was. He wants to know, are you willing to go on from here? Do you have faith? And are you willing to go on and live the way you're supposed to in the future, not continue? So I agree with you. It doesn't ever talk
Yeah.
about that.
Well, we have the one example where the blind man is healed, and he is asked what was the sin, and there was no sin. He was blind so that I could heal him and prove to you, so.
Yeah. Okay. And the couple other key things. They say son of David. That's typically used in different parts of the Gospels when the Jews' popular conception of the Messiah, this is all according to Barclay, I'm not making this up, I'm just reading. That the son of David was described Jesus as a popular conception of the Messiah. For centuries, Jews had awaited the promised deliverer of David's line, the leader who would not only restore their freedom, but would lead them to power and glory and greatness. So that's the other reason it gives for him not immediately just oh, well, you're taken care of, you can see now. He wanted to make sure that they weren't expecting that sword-wielding leader, and that they really did have faith in him in the new approach to the church.
Which we love.
Love
And faith. Instead of violence, aggression, punishment, all the negative things.
Right. So he wanted to make sure they really understood they didn't have an inadequate idea of who he was and what he was trying to accomplish. And I think that's part of also why he didn't want them going out and spreading it. He needed time, and we're guessing this is about during the first year of his ministry. He needed more time to do all the things that Bruce said, to get out and continue his preaching. And it became so overwhelming that then knowing what his ultimate faith would be, he needed time to finish what he had planned to do, as it wasn't going 3 years. So, okay. Anything else on that? We'll go on to the next passage.
Well, I wonder if he did not want to circuit that mystery, if the word comes around at 8,
Yeah,
then you've got people coming to.
that's the mindset
Yeah.
of people. Oh, I can get this one for nothing, let me get this one fixed, or no effort, or the easy way.
So, starting in 32, would somebody like to read 32 to 34, through 34? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, after they had gone away, a demonic who was mute was brought to him. And when the demon had been cast out, the one who had been mute spoke, and the crowds were amazed. Never has anything like this been seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, by the ruler of the demon, he casts out demons. About all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, had compassion, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest.
Thank you. I was going to let somebody else read the second piece, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
I missed the 35. I guess I blew that one.
Excellent job.
It's fine. It's just fine. So what do we see here? We've got another miracle. In this case, we don't see a lot of the preparatory discussion. It doesn't say anything about his faith, this mute's faith. It doesn't say anything about sins, it just says he came to him and he healed him.
But why did he use the word demonic?
That's what they believe.
That's what they believe, that something causes these things. And it was either the person was in sin, somehow with the sin, a demon got into his body and took over the body.
It was pretty much an imbalance with God.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't on the same level as the Pharisees who had none of these problems. They didn't have the balance with God and what's the word I'm looking for? The ear. They had God's ear, nobody else did. If you didn't, then you had a problem.
Must have been
So,
Washington.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's kind of, I mean, is it much different than today? In the way people
Not real good.
look at others
No.
and how they treat other people and
to the crowds, to the people, Jesus was a healer, a teacher, a savior. However, the Pharisees, he was in league with the devil.
it was a problem.
He was the problem. So, and it was probably not as much as they thought that was really the case as what he was doing to their ministry or their power.
Exactly. It was power and control. And they lose control because Jesus was doing things differently than what they had been telling him was the right way all along.
Just like today. Very
So,
similar.
yeah, it is, and this is what Bark is pointing out back, was it 40 plus years ago, is the Pharisees were so set in their ways that they weren't able to change. They weren't able to see this new approach to life and faith coming, and they didn't want to change. And even going back to this time, Barclay's time, he's saying this is what happens in the church. The churches get so enamored with their thing, their current approach to life, that they don't and can't handle a change.
They're
So-
surrounded by rules, 683 statutes.
Well, that was what the Jews were, but think about what I went through in the Episcopal Church a few years ago when the gay bishop was ordained, openly gay bishop was ordained, and a number of churches decided they weren't going to be part of that Episcopal Church anymore. They wanted to be part of the old Episcopal Church, and there's like a dozen Episcopal churches because of these kind of things. And years before that, it was the ordination of women. There was a number of churches that didn't want to do that, so they split off. And then before that, there was the new Book of Common Prayer. And when they came up with the new version, and then before that, it was King James Version when they changed.
Yeah.
So it's just our history that we don't like change. So.
That's because of what we've been told since we were this kid. That's where we get all this stuff, and it's until we can get beyond that and start to think for ourselves. And when you're finished, I have something I'd like to share.
Sure, go ahead.
This was just something that I read this morning, and it's a daily devotional thing, but as we explored the last 2 weeks, human bodies are sacred images or incarnations of God. Yes, this includes our gender and sexuality. What makes anything sacred anyway? As we've been exploring in this year's meditations, Franciscan tradition always held that God created unique incarnations of the eternal mystery, imparting a sacred imprint on all of creation. Our task isn't to define what's sacred. Our task is to expand our perception to recognize God's indwelling presence throughout the entire universe. And Pharisees couldn't do that.
I like that. Nice approach.
So, next week, I don't know what Brian's situation is going to be. He'll be back, great. We just need to tell him where we left off. And I would like to keep that last paragraph for discussion. And you guys, you're welcome to stay here. I'm gonna go with the choir, get ready for the anthem here in a minute. But you're welcome to continue discussing this and finish that up if you want. It's quite interesting that, the charge that Jesus gave his disciples at this point, what he wanted them to do and where he wanted them to go. So we can talk about that, or I won't be here next week. And David said he was willing to sit in and help facilitate the discussion for next week if Brian's not here. I will be back the week after.
Marty.
The last section of chapter 9 leads into chapter 10, and chapter 10 is his commission to his disciples to go out and where he wants them to go, what he wants them to do, and he's very specific at this time what he's looking for. And it's a starting point for the later Great Commission. As part of his after his resurrection and what he wants them to approach, because he wants them to stay close at hand and deal with basically deal with the Jews. So if you have a chance to read through 10 for next week, that will help everyone continue with the dialogue. And I hope that people continue with this, because even without Brian, I think this is worthwhile. It's worthwhile for me, and I hope it's worthwhile for everybody else. This is the format what we used last summer, the discussion format. We've prepared, and we'll discuss that the first week of May, what we want to cover this summer. And David and I have put together a plan. It goes back to Adam Hamilton. We'll go through the specifics, topics, and we're going to cover, but it goes back to the book we started with Adam Hamilton of the different section on difficult passages in the Bible. So that's what we picked out.
Boy, there aren't too many of those.
So you guys are welcome to continue if you wish, or just call it a morning and move on to the next week. And like I said, it's either be Brian or